Getting ready to finalize your draft preparations for this year's fantasy football season? Well, we got a few tips and tricks that maybe we just want to remind you of before you get into your fantasy football drafts. Let's get into it. Hey guys, just a quick video to remind you what to prepare for this upcoming fantasy football season. Just a few things that maybe you might have kind of forgotten in your planning. Things just to remind yourself when you get into the draft and when things change and don't go as you plan. And listen, we've all been mock drafting. Everybody's been doing it. And does a mock draft ever really go the way that it goes in your own league? For me, not a whole bunch. It has some similarities, but most of the time people throw curveballs. People start reaching for guys early. But hey, that's the way it goes. You need to be mentally prepared. And hopefully we can remind you of some tips to remember so that way you optimize your draft strategies. So today we're going to break down each position and what you want to look for and what you want to hope for. Let's start out with the running backs. I know everybody's talked about this hero RB strategy. And yes, it's a very good strategy, especially if you're in a 3 wide receiver league. But things to remember with a hero RB setup are you have to get to one of the really talented running backs. And in my mind, there's only 3 of them. You're probably either reaching for CMC, Breece Hall, or Bijan Robinson. Other than that, I don't think you can go this hero RB route. So if you are drafting early in your draft and you have one of those top 3 or 4 picks, yes, a hero RB strategy is very viable for you. But unfortunately, it's probably not going to work for you if you're drafting on the back end of the first round. So don't try to plan for a hero RB situation if you're drafting on the later part of first round in spots like 7, 8, 9, and 10, and possibly 12 if you're drafting in one of those 12-team leagues. You're going to have to use a different strategy. You're probably going to reach for the stud wide receivers. So just remember that, listen, you want to do a hero RB strategy, you have to be in that early draft position. Other than that, go with what you feel. You're going to have to know your leagues. Sometimes league scoring setups could be a little varied depending on who your commissioner is. I know I've been part of one league where I think I played for a few years before I really took a hard look at the scoring system. Turns out, yes, we were in a half-point PPR league. What they didn't really mention, the commissioner didn't mention, was that for every rushing attempt, you get a quarter of a point. That changes things dramatically because essentially a running back is getting way more points than a wide receiver is. This is one of those 3 wide receiver leagues that you really want to try to grab those receivers. But if a running back who's getting a huge workload is getting receptions and carries, he is gold in one of those leagues, and you probably should be drafting those workhorse running backs. That being said, we're going to move on to wide receivers and quarterbacks because I believe wide receivers and quarterbacks, you should be looking for stacks. Now, if you're going to grab one of those high-end wide receivers early in your draft, you might want to plan on trying to snag up their counterpart and quarterback for the nice stack. Don't forget about these. These guys are huge. When you have a stack in your league, you tend to be league winners more often than not when you have a stacked quarterback receiver combination. So don't forget to strategize, play chess, think 4 steps ahead going, hey, I drafted a CD Lamb. I need to think about grabbing Dak Prescott later on in this draft. Where should I aim to grab him? I drafted Deebo Samuel. Where's Brock Purdy going? I might need to reach a little further ahead and snag him before somebody else does. You have to know these things before going into your draft. Make sure you get that stack. Unless you're getting a mobile quarterback that runs a ton, I think you have to really maximize this stackability with the wide receiver position. And with the wide receivers, look at teams that have number ones that are going to hyper target them. Listen, try to get the volume. If you know they're not an explosive offense, say somebody like a Malik Neighbors from the New York Giants, you already know it's not going to be a high-powered explosive offense. Well, Malik Neighbors should get a ton of volume. And if you're playing in something like a full-point PPR league, that could be gold to somebody in those later rounds that people are scared to draft simply because they know the Giants are not going to be a very good offense. And with Daniel Jones there, not looking great in the preseason, it's probably you're going to rely on that volume alone by drafting Malik Neighbors. And like I said, Same thing. If you draft a quarterback early, look for those back end stacks. Some of the favorite ones I've got as far as back end stacks, Jordan Love and one of the Green Bay receivers. I do like the Will Levis situation because of the strength of schedule for quarterbacks for Tennessee is very good, as well as it is for the receivers. And it looks like Calvin Ridley, who's starting to climb up in drafts, but you can still get him at a good value, could be a back end stack as well. Those are two of the stacks I really like if you miss out on some of those high profile players, if you go with a high T draft strategy and grab a ton of running backs early. Tight ends. If you're not getting those maybe top 4 guys who you know are going to come through and be consistent on a weekend basis, look at who was trying to get touchdowns. Look at the people who were getting red zone targets from last year, especially somebody like Jake Ferguson. He's been talked about a lot. He got a ton of red zone looks. Look for those guys. Look for guys with easier matchups in their schedule. David Njoku going late, but he does have good matchups in his strength of schedule set up for tight ends for fantasy. Remember these few things going forward, and hopefully you can maximize your draft. But the biggest thing is I can say, guys, is have fun, enjoy it, enjoy the trash talking, enjoy hanging out with your friends. Everybody's busy. It's probably the one day a year you see some of these people in person rather not through text or email or a phone call. Enjoy the moment, enjoy your drafts, and have a lot of fun, guys. So join us on Thursday, guys. We're going to have a new video of me doing a mock draft, and I'm going to break down and talk about what I'm going through and what my brain is thinking on when I do these drafts. Please follow along, like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. We want to try to grow the channel, and please leave us comments down below. Leave me a comment about why you love doing fantasy football drafts. It seems to me the most exciting part. It's a fresh start. Comment below why you love doing fantasy drafts. And let's start a discussion on what everybody's favorite thing about this is. Please follow along here on YouTube or on Instagram at VegasGuyJ. I'm always posting a short every day on those platforms except for the weekends. Please join me there. Follow along, get some tips, and join us during the season. We're going to do 2 shows every Tuesday and Thursdays. One of the Vegas guys will be joining me. It'll be a 2-person show. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to break down the past week's performances and look ahead to next week's outcomes as well. All right, guys, thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one.